Hello there and welcome back to my channel. My name is Abigail Flowers and I'm a jazz vocalist and Lanikai ukuleles artist living in Nashville, Tennessee. In today's video, I want to talk about how to practice. I'll be demonstrating on ukulele, but these principles are for anyone who's trying to make practice part of their daily routine. So first, I'm going to talk about practice, and then later, I'm actually going to guide you through a short practice routine that you can use while you're starting out. First, I want to talk about a few ground rules for practice. The first rule has to do with your mentality, and this rule is be kind to yourself and enjoy the process. If you're anything like me, you probably won't end up being a world-famous touring virtuoso ukulele player. But that's not why we play our instruments. We play our instruments because we enjoy it. So practice should not feel like punishment. It should feel like a journey that brings you joy every day. I think of music a little bit like I think of running. When I go on a long run, it's not that every moment of it is pleasant, and it's not that I don't experience lots of challenges or hills that I don't want to run, but afterward I feel a sense of accomplishment and I feel happy that I did it. And that's how I feel about practicing and performing music. It's not always easy, it's not always pleasant, but I walk away with a sense that this is what I enjoy doing. I believe that being kind to yourself is an essential part of enjoying that process. I read somewhere that you can't change something by hating it, and that's especially true of ourselves. I can't change myself through negative self-talk. I can't become a better musician by telling myself I'm a bad musician. Yes, it's possible to make progress using negative self-talk or using punishment, but why would you choose that for yourself when you could be kind to yourself and celebrate your accomplishments and enjoy the process the whole way? So that's rule number one. Rule number two is to start small. We're not trying to jump from knowing nothing to being able to perform an advanced song in a week. We want to start with nothing and add a little bit and become really good at that little bit and then slowly build on these little pieces. You don't have to go 0 to 60, and you're likely to feel disappointed if you set yourself up for unrealistic expectations. Instead, you can set small goals and be really proud of yourself every time you meet those goals. This goes hand in hand with the next rule, which is slow down. Each time you make a mistake, and you will make mistakes because they're inevitable and they're an important part of the process. Each time you make a mistake, slow down. I'll get into that more later, but just remember, when in doubt, slow down. My last rule is to commit. Commit to giving yourself the gift of practice. Again, if you come to your practice with a healthy mindset, you should be able to view that time as a gift to yourself. You're investing in something you enjoy and something that brings you happiness. So commit to giving yourself that gift for 5, 10, 15 minutes a day and build a habit just because you enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe if you love what you're hearing, and leave me a comment to let me know what you'd like to hear more about. So now let's get into some concrete examples of how to practice. Just a disclaimer, I'm totally gonna make mistakes throughout this video, so just remember, it's not about perfection, it's about enjoying the process. So when you sit down to practice, there are 3 elements that I would recommend including. One is scales and melodies, one is chords, and one is strumming. Let's start with strumming. You don't even really have to play a chord with your left hand to practice strumming. You can just gently mute the strings with your left hand, and then your right hand is going to be focused on strumming. I don't think there's one absolutely right way to strum, but the way that I do it is mostly with my pointer finger. So my down strums are mostly with my fingernail, and my up strums are mostly with the side of my fingerprints. So it's like down, up, down, up, down, up. Often out of habit, I end up strumming up here because it's comfortable to rest my elbow on the edge of the ukulele, and it's fine to strum up here. It's also fine to strum over the sound hole. You just have to decide which sound you like best and what's most comfortable for you. So start by practicing all down strums on the beat. So if we're in 4/4 time, you could count 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, 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 down. The next step, once you feel comfortable with that, would be to practice down and up strums on eighth notes, and that would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. The next pattern you could practice combines those two. So it's a down, down, up, down, down, up, just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. One more pattern you could try sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. That's a pattern that I use a lot, but it can be difficult when you're starting out. So I would definitely start with those first 3 patterns, and once you work your way up to the 4th, don't forget that your hand is kind of always moving up and down evenly with the 8th notes. You're just not always strumming. So think about that consistent movement as you work on that 4th pattern. The next thing I would practice is scales or melodies. The point of this is to build finger strength, to build accuracy with your left hand, and to learn the names of notes on the neck. On baritone, we'll start with a D major scale because our lowest open string is the D string. The notes in the D major scale are D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and then D again. So we'll start with our open D string. Then we'll play the 2nd fret of the D string, and that's the note E. Then we'll play the 4th fret of the D string, and that's the note F sharp. After that, we move up to the 2nd string, which is G. So we play our 2nd string open, that's our G. Then we play the 2nd fret of our 2nd string, and that's the note A. That's all we're going to play on this string. After that, we move to our open 3rd string, which is a B. Then we'll play the 2nd fret on the B string, which is a C sharp, and we'll end with the 3rd fret of the B string, which is D again, same as the bottom. Then we'll try this scale backward. D, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D. Honestly, I have just started practicing scales and melodies, so I'm learning along with you. I notice that my hands get pretty tired when I'm practicing these things, so don't push yourself to practice this for too long. Do it for 2 or 3 minutes, and then move on to the next thing if your hand is getting tired. Now let's practice some chords for baritone ukulele. If you take lessons with me or you've watched many of my videos, you probably know that a 1, 6 minor, 4, 5 progression is one of my favorite things to use. This is a really common chord progression that allows us to practice by playing songs, which is much more fun than just randomly stringing chords together, unless that's your thing, which is totally fine. So for baritone ukulele, we'll start with a 1, 6, 4, 5 in the key of G, because this allows us to practice without using any bar chords. In the key of G, our 1, 6, 4, 5 chords are G major, E minor, C major, and D major. So let's look at those. Our G major chord is super easy. I'm just using my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. E minor is also super easy because we're just using our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. From there, we play our C chord, and all we have to do to get from E minor to C is add our pointer finger on the 1st fret of the B string. So it's 2nd fret, open, 1st fret, open. This next one is the hardest chord in this group. It's a D major chord, and it looks like this. That's open, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. Open, pointer finger, ring finger, middle finger. So I'm going to start by stringing these chords together in that order, and I'm just going to do one strum each to start with. G, E minor, C, D. One more time. G, E minor, C, D. You can also practice those same chords in a different order, and we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up when you get a chance. All right, now I'm going to walk you through a practice routine, so you can play along with me and revisit this video as often as you'd like. Do you remember what the first rule of practice is? Be kind to yourself and enjoy the process. So when I sit down to practice, I'm going to start by consciously thinking the thoughts, I love music, I love playing ukulele, practicing is fun, and I'm good enough. You may have other thoughts that are helpful to you, but those are some examples of where you could start. Make an effort to come into practice with a positive mindset and kindness toward yourself. The goal is not perfection, the goal is to enjoy the process. After that, I'm going to start with strumming practice. I'm going to introduce a friend with whom I have a love-hate relationship. It is my metronome. Metronomes give you a steady beat and keep you honest even when it's a little uncomfortable. You can download a metronome app on your phone, or if you have an electric keyboard, you probably have a metronome function there. I'm going to start my metronome at 90 BPM, or beats per minute. However, that's going to be double time. So our goal in this first exercise is to do one down strum for every 2 clicks. You'll see what I mean in a second. So here's how it's going to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's practice that together. We're going to do it for 8 measures straight. Even though it's slow, the big challenge is to stay accurate at a slow pace. So think about doing your strum right on the beat, not early, not late, and you'll notice that I struggle with that as well. Here goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strum, 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 strum. Second measure, 2, 3, 4. Third measure, 2, 3, 4. Fourth measure, 2, 3, 4. Fifth measure, 2, 3, 4. Sixth measure, 2, 3, 4. Seventh measure, 2, 3, 4. Eighth measure, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. Now we're going to do the same thing, but with a down, up pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And down, up, 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 down, up. Third measure. Fourth measure. Fifth. Sixth. Seventh. Eighth. 2, 3, 4. And you're done. Next up, we're going to practice down, down, up, down, down, up, also for 8 measures. 1 and 2 and 3 measure, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, whew, that's a tough one. If you already feel comfortable with all of those, something you could try is that fourth strum pattern I showed you earlier. You can also get out your own metronome and practice the same things at a faster tempo. As you speed up your practice, do it in very small increments, like 5 BPM at a time. See if you can get it right 3 times in a row, and if you do, bump it up a few BPM. This strumming practice can be done on baritone or concert ukulele. Now let's practice our D major scale for baritone ukulele. We're bringing back the metronome here. I play my scale by plucking with my thumb, but if you prefer to use a pick, that's totally great. I'm less concerned about the right hand here and more concerned about building accuracy and strength in the left hand. For this exercise, I'm going to slow the metronome down to 60 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next thing I'm going to do is the same scale, but I'm going to say the letter names of the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D. Whew. Lastly, I'm going to do the same thing, but speak aloud the scale degree I'm playing rather than the note name. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's really hard. Next, we'll practice our 1, 6, 4, 5 chord progression. I'm going to leave the metronome at 60 BPM and we'll play each chord for 4 beats. You can use whichever strum pattern you're most comfortable with, but I'm just going to play all down strums. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're ready to learn something new, you can take your metronome and practice those chords in a different order, like 6 minor 4 1 5 or 6 minor 5 4 1. And when you feel ready, you can speed up your metronome. Again, maybe just 5 BPM at a time. Let's talk about what to do when, not if, but when you make mistakes. When I make a mistake in practice, it's a sign to me that I either need to slow down or get smaller. What does that mean? Let's say I'm practicing my D major scale. If I make a mistake while practicing, the first thing I'm going to do is slow down. I'm going to play that scale as slowly as I need to in order to play it accurately. Once I've done that, I can start to bump up the speed little by little. If I slow down and I still make a mistake, I'm going to get smaller. So instead of practicing the full scale, I'm gonna break it down to just the first 5 notes and practice that several times. I might even end up breaking it down to just the first 3 notes or even the first 2 notes. The point is that you need to be able to do small things accurately in order to build on that. You can't rush ahead without a sturdy foundation. So if I make a lot of mistakes on my D major scale, I might sit there and practice just D to E 5 or 10 times before I try adding that 3rd note in. So when you make a mistake, slow down, and if you need to, get smaller and then build your way back up. I also want to say, I don't think that you need to practice for hours every day to see a difference. If you commit to 5 minutes a day, you will see a small difference in your playing. Better yet, if you can make it 10 or 15 minutes, that's a great amount of time when you're starting out because you're still building strength in your hands. And if you practice for too long, you're gonna get uncomfortable and you're not going to enjoy the process, which is one of the rules. You have to enjoy yourself. So start with 5, 10, or 15 minutes a day and work your way up if that's part of your goal. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this was helpful. Please leave me a comment to let me know if this was useful to you and what you'd like to learn next, whether it's your voice or guitar or piano. Let's try that again. I'll be demonstrating on ukulele, but I think these principles are helpful. Again, if you come to your practice, that's not how I say that word, and leave me a comment to know G, A, what did I get? See, I make mistakes a lot too. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. 5, 6, 7, ha. What time is it? Basically time to go.